Welcome back to the Roots of Evil. I am the Evil DM, and this week I got a special guest with me. I got DM Chrispy from the Save or Die podcast. Hello, Chrispy.
Hey Vince, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, it's a
Well,
nice, beautiful day here in Las Vegas. So
oh, yeah, I know it's always nice there in the old Vegas area where you get to go gamble and lay in the sun and do podcasting.
yep.
So this week we're continuing along with our Roots of Evil, and the Roots of Evil has brought us along the trail of BX, because that's where we started, as I promised. And now we're going to continue along the lines, as you can see on the screen here, to this way. I have a summary of the rules of creating a character in Basic Edition D&D. I decided to bring in an expert, that guy over there, Chrispy from the Save or Die podcast, SaveOrDie.info if you want to learn more about his podcast where he hosts with his friend Carl. They are the new hosts of the podcast. Long history with that podcast if you're familiar with it. If not, great. Yep, whatever. But anyway, Chrispy is here to go over the whole thing. So we're going to start at rule number 1 or summary number 1 of creating a character in Basic Edition D&D. So when you create your character, Crispy, have you ever actually used the index card that they always suggest in there? Like you see pictures of it throughout the whole book?
I have used the index card for NPC characters and like hirelings and things like that, but I've never actually used it for a regular character. I actually have to in my game last night, my regular BX game that I run every Saturday-ish. They did just hire a bunch of different hirelings, so I do have to get them those stats, and that was my plan. I can't decide if I want to do a full character sheet or an index card for each one. I think I'm going to do an index card.
Yeah, we used index cards in the beginning, but then we found out we ran out of space, so it turned into character sheets. So
yeah, it's not a lot of space.
No, but looking at the chart for the summary, on a sheet of paper, write down the names of the 6 player character stats or the abilities, so the strength, intelligence, dexterity, so on, straight forth. And then you would roll 3d6 straight down the line.
That one I don't do.
Why not?
I do 3d6, but I never force my players to do straight down. I will do it for myself if I'm playing a game, because I don't care what I play. You know, I'll figure out a character as I'm playing, but a lot of people kind of want to see what they have and build a character based on that. Or they have a preconceived notion.
If you're playing straight by the rules, then you would do 3d6 and just jot them down. That's how you would pick your character class. That's how the rules were designed. But a lot of DMs along the way have changed it, house ruled it to allow you to roll 3d6 and then just distribute them wherever you want. And then we got the old 4d6 drop the lowest, and then we went from there and there and there. So
I don't like that for old school games. I think it makes characters that are too superhero-y.
Really? 4d6?
Yeah. 4d6, yeah. It's just because you skew to have pluses in everything, and I think it just makes characters, I don't know, when everyone's great at everything, it's sort of it makes them feel less special. Like I've got characters now, like they all did 3d6. I've got a new character who just joined.
Yeah.
Because I killed his I killed his original one last night. But he's got, you know, a couple 16s, a couple 17s, but he rolled stats in front of all of us. And we all saw him legitimately roll those stats. But other player characters, you know, they've got like a 13 as their highest stat. Somebody's got a 17, but they also have like a 5. So it really, there's a lot to play with there. That's why I like the straight bell curve of 3d6.
Did you put the low level caps on it? Like if someone rolled below a 5, you would say, okay, it's automatically a 6 or something.
No. Unless they roll, if they don't roll anything with a plus, like one good thing, I'll let them re-roll, or I'll change a stat to help make them be a little bit better. But, you know, if somebody has a 5 and they have a 17, it works out. You know, they're good at hitting stuff. They're not so good at talking or that kind of thing. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. I definitely like people to play characters with flaws.
Yeah, I agree. A little bit of flaw adds a little flavor and role play into the game, totally. So, you said you had some dice on the table there.
I do.
Awesome. And you were going to quickly roll up a little character while we're going through this. just so people could
So
see.
I just dropped those dice and I did get an 18, Vince.
Okay, so sure, let's go with that.
Swag.
So just roll your dice and tell us what you're getting, and
All right. That is a 8.
are you writing these down?
I'm not. I imagined you were going to, but I can.
I could try to do that.
Nah, I got it. I have my DM kit just here because I figured I would need it. So I've got 8, 11, which is not too awful.
So we got an 18, an 8, and 11. Got it.
That is another 11. This character's already shaping out to be not bad.
Yeah.
A 9, 3, 4, 5. Final roll here. Ooh, a 6.
And a 6. All right.
A 6. So if we're doing these in order, I'm definitely being a fighter.
So then after you roll your stats up, so you have an 18, an 8, 11, 11, 9, and 6. And we're gonna say we're doing this in order just for the sake of the rules for now. We flip over and we check out our step 2 would be choose a class, note the special abilities and the spell. So obviously if we're going straight down the line here, we're probably going to want to be a fighter since the 18 is already in the strength area. So we're going to pop over to page... Where are the fighters?
That is going to be
B8.
B8, yeah.
And it shows the first 3 levels because Basic only had levels 1 to 3 before you had to purchase or go to a friend's house and get the expert level and add it into your binder, which I told people in the last episode how, in the Roots of Evil, how we had it in a binder sitting, and I actually did do most of that, but...
I have my original BX copies here with me, and I spilled Kool-Aid on them last night. Not too bad. It just got on the like bottom edge of the paper, and I was like, oh, I should put these things in a binder to have them be protected.
But you were legitimately
so
supposed to rip out pages and put them in a binder like this and replace them with pages of the expert, companion, things like that, as you went up in level, or as your DM decided to move forward. I never did that because I don't know, maybe want to cry to rip pages out of a book, but...
Yeah, well, they want you to get there with a hobby knife and, like, actually, like, cut them, and I wouldn't want to do that.
Some of them didn't even come with the hole punch, so you had to actually make
really?
your own... Yeah, some of the original books did not come with this hole punch. We started doing that originally, and then people started doing it on their own, and then I think TSR started adding it in the later box sets because people were doing it anyway, and that's what they told people to do. So yeah,
I have a couple copies that I printed from the PDF available now on ddclassics.com, $4.99 each, and I printed them at my office because we have a print shop and had them comb bound.
Yeah,
I was thinking about doing a omnibus collection, but organizing the material seems really daunting. So I'm just gonna keep it separate.
It is. I don't. It just didn't work in theory, so we just kind of kept it in the same book. So.
Yeah, it's difficult to know where to put things and where pages should go for what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So next we go on to, after we picked our class fighter, obviously, because that's going to be our best bet going straight down the line with these dismal stats that you roll.
These stats are good. Like,
yeah.
I have an 8 and a 6, which is like, that kind of sucks. But I'm average in most other things, and I'm real strong.
So then it tells you to note any special abilities or spells, which you don't have any since you're a fighter. You only get some bonuses to experience points based upon your prime requisite stat.
You get that extra 10%.
So the prime requisite of a fighter, obviously, is his strength. And back in these editions, that played an important part. Like, the newer editions, they don't have any emphasis on prime requisite stat. Some of them do kind of need certain things to do certain things in classes, but Back in this edition, first edition, second edition, and maybe a little bit of third touched upon it. I think they got rid of it mostly. But you were a 3.5 player for a while.
Yeah.
Chris. Did they do it?
They
a lot?
didn't. They didn't really have bonuses for prime requisites, but they definitely did have attribute dependency, sort of like in first edition, where you needed X amount in a stat to be like a paladin, right? You needed to have like at least a 15 charisma. These numbers are numbers I'm pulling off from the top of my head. Viewers, please don't at me. Don't write to me being like, actually, it was a 13 in charisma and strength. I don't care.
So if you look on page B10, it tells you the prime requisite for a fighter is strength. Strong fighters can kill monsters more easily with powerful blows. A strength score of 13 or greater will grant you a bonus on earned experience points. Mm-hmm. So from there, you would look back on page B7.
I want to say it's 7. All right.
7. It may be different on your PDF. I don't know. B7, and it has the first chart that's there, prime requisite, and it goes 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12, 13 to 15, and 16 to 18. And yes, with a low stat and your prime requisite, you can get negative experience taken away from you if you do that. Yep. So you have the right to play what you want and how you want to play it, but you're going to suffer some penalties based upon how the book is written. If your DM
it's
is playing
definitely
that way.
Urging you to pick if you roll your stats in order and go with those, it's definitely urging you to pick something that you're gonna actually be good at with those stats.
Yeah,
it'll let you have a bad character, but it's doing everything it can to make sure that that's not going to happen.
Right. All right, so then from there, you're going to look down at the chart, and our strength is an 18. You go to the strength chart. We see we get a +3 to hit every time we use a melee weapon, and we get a +3 when opening doors. So back in basic
doors
edition,
on a 5.
What's that, Chris?
1 through 5. The opening doors. So 1 to 5 out of 6.
Right. We use
5 out of 6.
When forcing open doors back in basic edition, you would roll a d6, and this helps the chance of opening the door. So 1 through 5, you can easily bust down an average dungeon wooden door with no problem.
I did it.
Yay!
Oh, I didn't do it.
No.
Oh, damn.
Then we go to intelligence, and he has an 8, but that doesn't really apply. So basically, you can write simple common words. So he can basically speak and write probably, I would say, the level of a 5th grader.
Yeah.
About average, 6th grader maybe, around there, if you want to equate it to normal terms.
I can write back home to Pa and let him know that I'm doing okay and I miss everyone on the farm. Yeah, it's fine.
So you're Lenny from Mice and Men? Anyway, let's go to wisdom. Wisdom, you said you had an 11. That's going to be normal base saves, no bonuses on anything, so there's no adjustments to any of your saving throws, which were broken into 6 categories in this, and we'll get into that just a bit. Dexterity, you had another 11. That is no adjustments, no adjustments, no adjustments to armor class, no adjustments to initiative, which you would get. I always played with that. Did you play with the optional adjustment to initiative?
I have been recently. My players don't like side-based initiative all that much, so I've been letting them use that. We're rolling a d6 for it though, so that works out.
See, what I do with people that don't like side-based initiative and they have these bonuses, I allow them to roll, like the dice gets moved around each time around the table, so that way people can apply their initiative bonuses to their rolls.
Oh, that's an interesting idea, actually.
So you start with, say, I don't know, Tom on your left, and when it's their turn to roll, he rolls, he adds his bonus. Then the next time rolls, it's Jim who sits to his, your left, his next second seat, then third seat, then fourth seat, then fifth. That way, everybody can apply their bonuses, and nobody cries.
I like that, actually. I think that's a nice. They still get to use that feature, but I still get to have side-based initiative, and that's what I want to do.
I've even applied that into using it for later editions like 5e, so because I use side-based initiative in 5e. And I've
tried to do that. Players again, I don't know, millennials, they just.
Yeah, I know you guys want everything. You little babies.
They don't want to work as a group. They value the individual.
Me. No, let's not make fun of those
The me generation.
Yes, they are the me generation. Constitution is another 11, I believe? No.
Yep. No, my constitution is 9, which is still just average.
So you get no hit point adjustment at all. So you're a pretty boring fighter at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Charisma, you get no reaction adjustment, so you're pretty much an average-looking person. But you do get a number of retainers as your maximum of 4. So you can have 4 retainers if you need to go out on an expedition.
No, I have a -1. My charisma is 6.
Oh, that's right. I was thinking it was a 9.
Nope, 6.
That's right, 6.
-1.
So you get a -1, so you're like an ugly mofo. And people look at you and go, ugh. And you get 3 retainers.
And also your character is.
Yes, they look at you and your character. 3 retainers, and you get a maximum of
6 for my morale, so a little bit below average.
Yeah, a little bit below morale, which is another thing that was introduced, which I really didn't use that much when it came to like NPCs and retainers. You would roll, I think, was it a D12 or a D6? I don't remember.
It's a D6. It's 2D6.
2D6.
Basically, if you roll a 2, you get the worst result. 3 to 5 is they're wary of you, and then 6 to 8 you roll again. Then no, is it 6 to 8? Yeah, and then 9 through 11 is they're favorable towards you, and then a 12 is the best result possible. You normally get a +1 or something like that to all future rolls.
Right. Okay. All right, so we're done with that. Now we go look over at page B8 real quick, and we see that we start with 0 experience points since we're level 1, and we roll a D8, I believe it is, for our hit points. So go ahead, roll your D8, because fighters in this edition were a D8, and there were no D10 hit points like they did in later editions. And
now, it is not part of these rules to have max starting, but in my home games, I normally give them max starting. I have 3 hit points. I'm a 3 hit point fighter.
There you go. So now we we walk over to character. I suggest we probably we roll for the money.
Yes, normally, yeah.
So it's 3d6.
I got 12, which would be 120 gold.
So 3d6 times 10, 120 gold to start off with. All right. If we're following along in the book, you're going to see that there's going to be races and there's going to be classes. Everything was kind of a mix mash of... you're human. If you're a class like fighter or cleric or thief, you are human automatically, because that was the default race that Gygax wanted for the world, because he had a human-centric world. If you picked a dwarf, which is also considered a class, or an elf, which is also, and a halfling, which is also considered a class, you kind of did a multi-class type character. Now, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, that's kind of how I always explain it. Like, if you're a halfling, you're basically a fighter thief. If you're a dwarf, you're the fighter, but you're the tanky fighter, I guess. And an elf is a fighter magic user.
Right. And magic user is your own class as well, but you're human. So you can be whatever you want to be. There's certain advantages and disadvantages of being one or the other. And as you look into them, you read them, and they'll tell you what this and that is. But we want to move along here. I would probably, before going to pick my equipment, I would probably pick my alignment. Now,
yeah. That would just be lawful out of the 3-point alignment in the system.
There's a 3-point alignment system in this, and it's lawful, neutral, and chaos. And that's it, or neutrality, if you want to call it that, depending on how you want to say it. That's all they did. I kind of like the simple 3-point alignment system, and that's what I've done moving forward with all my games. Not this particular one, but I've used 3-point alignment systems. The new Mazes and Perils that's coming out, the 2nd edition, and even my 5e game, I'd use light, dark, and gray. That's it. Reason why I did this, and I changed things up, and it's different than this 3-point alignment system here, is I wanted to give players the room to grow and do things and not have to worry about a silly alignment. So,
yeah,
but
I generally don't like alignment systems in D&D. They're always weird. I think there's like a lot of edge cases to be had for them, but I do think with sort of that 3 point, even yours, the light, dark, gray, you can be a character who is, on the light side. Sorry to go Star Wars on you, and still have them do, maybe kind of morally ambiguous things for the greater good, and that would still make them light. That's sort of the same thing with this system. It's more law and chaos as a cosmic sense. Do you want to continue to have civilization, or do you want to just kill and destroy? You don't care about if the world burns, and that's sort of neutrals, in the middle.
I'll do my own thing.
Yeah, neutral is definitely like very self-invested in this. But this alignment system comes more from pulp fantasy novels like the Elric of Melnimene system, where law and chaos system, the books series, law and chaos are cosmic forces constantly at odds, and you serve either the forces of law or the forces of chaos, and your battles play out on a cosmic scale. Because Gary Gygax was a huge pulp fantasy nerd, so.
Right, and he always did push characters in all D&D games to be lawful, because that's the good class, a good good alignment. So,
and
if
if
recommend
that doesn't work for you, you could always change it to good, neutral, evil as well.
Essentially, law, chaos, and neutrality was good, evil, and neutral. That's really what it was. And most people just picked law because everyone wanted to be a good hero. So,
yeah, that's what I would do.
A couple times I've picked neutral just because I wanted to have that option, and I have played evil many times, but it's better to play neutral than play evil, because too many negative things come from playing evil or chaos in games, I've noticed.
Yeah.
So you picked lawful, correct?
I picked lawful.
All right, so we had 120 gold pieces, you said, and we look inside here, and we have our basic weapon chart on page 12, B12 of the book. Our basic armor, our armor class right here, and just the generalized equipment. Now, armor class in this edition went backwards as opposed to ascend. I should say it's descending as opposed to ascending, which everyone is used to in the newer editions. Not exactly sure why they did that. I think that had to do with wargaming, and that's the way they did it in wargaming, I believe.
It did, yeah.
Okay. So the lower your armor class in this edition, going towards 0, was better. Now, a lot of people have, I guess, a brain fart when it comes to translating these back and forth. It's not that difficult once you wrap your head around it, but just think of it on the scale of 10, and you say the newer editions, you're going 11, 12, 13, 14, up, so on and so forth. Just count it backwards. 9, 8, 7, 6, and just minus that off of a 20, and that's the difference between the two. So if you're having a problem with this and you're like, whoa, is a 7 armor class? What's that in new edition? 13. Right? 7 minus 20, 13. Perfect. Easy peasy. So the lower the armor class towards 0, the better you are. And then you get into the negative numbers, which is even better. And that's going like beyond 20 in the newer editions. So you're picking your weapons. So let's move along. So what have you picked for your fighter now?
I just went with sword and shield and a suit of plate mail, because in this edition, plate mail is very cheap.
Yeah,
it's 60 gold. I rolled 120, so I'm able to kind of deck myself out as a tank, get a sword and a shield.
So your armor class for the plate mail is going to be a 3. You have no dexterity adjustments, I believe. No.
Nope.
But you do have a shield, so that takes 1 off of it. So a plate mail, if you look 1 on B12 at the bottom there, it says armor classes. It says plate mail and shield, armor class 2. So right off the bat, you're starting with an armor class 2 without any dexterity adjustments. And if this was 5th edition, you'd have an 18 armor class right now.
17 armor class.
Oh, that's right. True. That's right. You start at 9 in basic edition as opposed to 10.
I didn't want to correct you because I was like, that's really pedantic. No one cares.
I always translated it into 10 because of playing first edition, but yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. I don't know why they did that, but they decided to change it along the way. But
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Probably something from Chainmail, which is the game D&D evolved from.
right. And then if Chrispy had a higher intelligence, he could look on B13, and then he could roll a D20, or he could pick off the little chart here. Usually an intelligence of 13 to 18 would get you various languages like Bugbear, Doppelganger, Dragon, which became Draconic later on, Orc, Ogre, Minotaur, and then Human Dialect. I never understood what Human Dialect was, but I'm guessing it was kind of like, Undercommon or something like that.
I always took it as like, so the way they explain common is it's sort of like the common language of the realm, and then you may speak your own language outside of that. So I kind of always took it as like, you could, like, if I lived in Italy, like I could speak like Italian, but I would also speak Europe. I would also speak English. Jeez. I'd speak English because that's the common language, for Europe. And then maybe I also speak Spanish.
Got it. Okay. And then you have the option of writing down an inheritance, which you can write down, say you die. The local authorities will take all your belongings and take 10%, of course, and hand it over to your next of kin or whatever family members you decide. So you can make legacy characters in any game, but this one puts a whole rule in for it so that you can have your stuff given to the son of, because you know how many times I did that when I was a kid, the son of taking revenge for his father. 15 characters later. Why not? That's how we did it. And then it talks a little bit about a hopeless character and what you can do. Hopeless characters are pretty much characters that seem very hopeless in life, but really from a role-playing standpoint, you still can make it work.
Yeah, I think the rule that they have is if you don't have any pluses and all negatives, then you can trash that character. But no, I'm sitting pretty with this 18. Like, I'm good.
Yeah, I wouldn't give that up. So now you name your character Sir Chrispy of DMHood. And he's ready to run out into the world and kill and destroy and be fun.
We forgot saving throws.
Oh, yeah, saving throws, that's right.
Which I have right now.
Okay, once you...
I am a fighter, so Death Ray is going to be 12.
So if you flip over to B26...
B26,
and you look under fighters, you can get your 5 types of saving throws. First one being a Death Ray or Poison, second one being Magic Wands, then Powerless or Turn to Stone, then Dragon Breath, and then Rod Staff or Spells. Chrispy looking at a comfortable 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Oh man, I suck at spells. Jeez, that's awful. And the way you do those is you hit it's a DC for people who are used to normal editions. Modern editions. Yes. The game that everyone else is playing, not this weird niche like specific version of D&D.
Think of it as a
hit the number or go over it.
Just think of it as a difficulty class if you're rolling your skills in 5th edition or 4th edition or 3rd, and that's really all it is. And these decrease as you go up in level. So levels 1 to 3, this is what you're going to have, and then going forward, you'll have a lower one, and you always refer back to these charts. And sometimes you can get bonuses or negatives depending on the situation and the DM.
Yeah, your wisdom, if you have a higher wisdom, adds to your spells or your saves versus magic effects. So wands,
like dwarves get a bonus to poison when it comes to ingesting poisons. So, and I believe that is it.
Yep.
Oh wait, you will probably want your 2-hit now also.
No. Yes. I'm gonna use a dirty word here. My Thaco.
Oh boy, your Thaco. So if you look on page B27, which is the next one over, you can get your character attacks. So basically, your attacker level 1 to 3rd is going to be right there. 2 hit armor class 9, 2 hit armor class 8, boom.
Yep. You normally, if you have any kind of official character sheet, they'll put a little matrix down there for you so you know what to roll. But you can also do the math and just go, my to hit armor class 0 is 16 for me because it always starts at 19. I have a +3 for my strength, and you would just roll a die and subtract that from your to hit armor class 0, and that would give you what armor class you would hit. I rolled a 3, so I hit armor class nothing. I missed.
And of course, any good DM will probably change up most armor classes. So basically, when we were playing games, I would just have people say, I hit armor class 2, I hit armor class 6, I hit armor class
That's
7.
how I do it as well. My players cannot wrap their heads around that, so we're actually using ascending armor class.
Oh, you changed it up. Okay.
Yeah, if you were using that kind of system, I would have a base attack bonus for this attack of +4, which is nothing to sneeze at.
And that is pretty much character creation in a nutshell. Hopefully you've learned something today, and you've enjoyed myself and Chrispy here. Chrispy will maybe come back in from time to time when we talk about things going forward, but he's not going to be a regular because Chrispy's busy. It's hard to get Mr. Chrispy on the show.
I have my own show I got to make about D&D.
That's correct. His basic show, Save or Die, which you can go to saveordie.info for more information. You can contact them with questions at saveordie.info. And they have their weekly. Are you bi-weekly or monthly? I can't remember.
We're monthly, but we're trying to get more episodes out. So we're like tri-weekly, I guess. No, that's not right. That would be 3 times a week.
No,
we're
or it could be I
monthly.
try to go weekly.
Yeah, we try to go weekly, but we're a monthly show for right now, but I do believe that we're trying to get more stuff out.
They're trying, and that's what counts. That's half the battle. Yo, Joe.
And the thing is, it's an hour and a half long episode every month. So if we were weekly, that would be like 20 minutes each every week. So we're on par with like video content creation. So
right, and you're more on the go because you don't have to be stuck listening to a video somewhere or on your phone focusing and audio podcast. It's fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for joining me this week, and we'll be back next week with something different. I'm not sure what we'll continue along with, but I may continue along with BX and talking a little bit more about monsters, things like that. Who knows? Thank you, Chrispy, and hope you have a great week. Good night, everybody.